Inspired by the stupendous wave, today I'm going to explore what exactly would happen if Ben Solo never turned to the dark side. Let's dive into this alternate reality, in which Ben Solo would remain loyal to the Jedi, the light side, and most importantly, his family. Ben Solo was training to become a Jedi under his master and uncle, the son of Darth Vader himself, Luke Skywalker. It was clear to everyone that Ben was a very promising Jedi who had a very strong connection to the Force. Confused as to why Ben spent more time with his uncle than his own father and mother, Ben trained under Luke for a lot of his life, with slight bitterness. He felt like he was an object rather than a person with feelings and an opinion, but he was skilled in the Force and wished to become as powerful as he possibly could be, so left behind his bitterness, anger and hatred. After all, that was the Jedi way. After a long day of training, Ben left the Jedi Academy in the nighttime to be alone and reflect on what he had learned that day. He went and sat by a black lake in the dead of night and thought about his uncle Luke's early days as a Jedi Knight. Suddenly, Ben felt his entire body go freezing cold. Ben felt something, a presence, a dark entity. He felt as if he'd walked into an ancient Sith academy. Ben stood up, vigilant, scared, but ready. A voice came from what appeared to be the lake, followed by a body emerging from the lake. It wasn't a real body, it was a spirit, a vision, but the person sending the vision is real, is out there.
Ben, I mean you no harm. I wish to talk to you. I appear before you to warn you. I know your power. I feel your power. You are special. You are unique. And I know as well as you know that your connection to the Force is unnaturally strong. What you don't know is what Skywalker is doing to you. He's using you for your power and holds you back from your true potential. You know it to be true.
You're lying, Ben says. Luke pushes me to become the best I can possibly be and cares for me, just like my parents.
Ah yes, Leia Organa and Han Solo, the same parents that carelessly sent you away like a dog for training, with someone who holds you back. Search your feelings, Ben. You know it to be true.
Ben thought for a minute. Whatever this thing was, it knew everything about him, but how? And it had a point. He hadn't seen his parents for 6 months, and what was Ben doing in the meantime? Training with Luke, who could be holding him back?
I know your potential. I've seen it. I've seen your future. I've seen your power. And that future is with me, by my side. Join me. Leave this life behind, and no harm will come to those you care about.
Ben didn't know what to say or what to do. Disgusted in himself, he considered joining him without even knowing his name. He snapped out of it. What was he doing? How did this happen? Ben was not safe. Whatever this thing was, it was lying, and it was dangerous. Without warning, Ben turned and sprinted as fast as he could, burying every emotion other than fear. He dared not look behind him, as he was afraid of the figure being there, chasing him. After a few minutes, he finally gets to the academy, and pushes the doors open as hard as he could and shuts them behind him. He was safe now. He knew that. He sprints up the stone steps and bursts into Luke's private quarters to find him meditating. Luke's eyes are surprisingly still closed after Ben's sudden burst into the room. "Master Luke," Ben said. "Something has happened. Something came to me, spoke to me, and tried to manipulate me into joining it." Luke is still, but breaks the silence. "Snoke," he says, and opens his eyes. Stands up. "Snoke?" Ben asks, confused. "I thought I killed him. I left him deformed." He's back. "Master Luke," Ben says. "What is going on?" "There's no time, Ben. Wake the other students. Bring them into the training hall. Do as I ask, Ben." Ben leaves the room immediately, sweating, scared, confused. He quickly wakes all the students in the academy and escorts them down to the huge training hall, where he finds Luke standing, with his back to the entrance of the room. Once everyone is in and the door is shut, Luke turns to his students. "A war is coming. A dark being, who I believe to be dead, has returned. I thought this galaxy was rid of all the evil and dangers we may come across as Jedi, but I was wrong. Snoke has returned. And while all of you don't know who he is, rest assured that he is a force to be reckoned with. Someone whose power was only matched by the Emperor himself. I know each and every one of you are at different levels and abilities, but we all need to unite and fight, because they are coming. What's coming? Someone shouted. Snoke is coming for us before we come for him, and he's bringing help. He tried recruiting Ben, but Ben turned away. Snoke failed. But as a result of his failure, and now that Snoke knows we know he's alive, he will take the fight to us without Ben. I've seen it. There's a silence in the room. Ben finally asks, what do we do now? Days have passed in the academy. Not one person has left the academy, not one person has entered. Since Luke told his students about Snoke and told them they need to fight, there has never been a more scary, tense time in Ben's life. He was sure the other students felt the same, if not worse, as Ben was the best in the academy. Ben had been practicing lightsaber combat in one of the training rooms for 4 hours, and only broke his concentration when suddenly Luke entered the room with a serious look on his face. Ben, I wasn't going to tell you, but I think you have the right to know. Ben, it's your mother. What about her? Ben asks, panicking. She's dead. Ben was lost for words, lost for emotion. He was frozen. I've just talked to your father. There was nothing he could do. Snoke, Ben said, fist clenched, lightsaber in hand, anger, fear surrounding him. Ben, Luke said, but is interrupted by Ben sprinting out the room towards the entrance of the academy. Ben was going after Snoke. No, Ben! I know he deserves it, and I know how you feel, but if you go out there, you put us all in danger. It's what Snoke wants. Ben didn't care. He wanted Snoke's head. He opened the grand doors of the Jedi Academy and looked out into the black night. It was raining, thundering. Ben took one step outside, but stopped dead in his tracks. He saw the entity. He saw the vision he had spoken to only a few nights ago, except it was no vision. It was no spirit. It was real. It was Snoke, and he was looking right at him, standing at 7 feet tall, wearing an all-black cloak, but with no hood, clearly revealing a deformed, scarred face, which Luke had described.
You should have joined me, Ben. Now, you will die.
As if on cue, more dark figures emerged from behind Snoke and stood right next to him. Ben counted 7. They too wore all black, except they were armoured. They wore masks and helmets, and Ben saw multiple types of weapons being held by these dark figures. And you should have stayed in the shadows, Snoke, said a voice from behind Ben. It was Luke. His green lightsaber was already ignited. He was calm, yet extremely intimidating as he walked in front of Ben, acting as a sort of shield.
Skywalker. I'd almost forgotten about your hand that I removed last time we met. I see your weapon is drawn. You're as foolish as you ever were. Do you really think you and your pathetic nephew are something of a challenge to us?
Luke's face changed from aggression to a slight grin. 2 Jedi Knights jumped from a balcony on the academy next to Ben and Luke, rolling to the floor, kneeling, in near perfect synchronization. Igniting their blue and purple lightsabers, 5 more appeared behind Luke, all igniting their blades. Ben knew what was about to happen. He stood strong, powerful, looked into the eyes of Snoke, and his green blade lit up, ready for battle. Snoke did not expect this. He seemed to know that Luke was training a new generation of Jedi, but he was taken aback by the confidence and talent of the students. Snoke put his hand in his cloak and took it back to reveal the lightsaber. The lightsaber looked as ancient and deformed as him. Snoke looks at Luke.
This is where you die?
He then looks at Ben.
Just like your precious mother.
Ben lunges at Snoke as fast as he could, lightsaber in hand, aiming to kill, but Ben is met by the overwhelming power of the dark side. Snoke simply flicks his hand, and Ben is thrown into the stone bricks of the academy. He looks at Snoke from the floor, and sees the ignition of the only red blade in sight. A couple of the students help Ben back to his feet. He's in pain, and feels like that must have broke some bone in his body. Snoke is cackling at Ben's impatience and foolishness. While Snoke laughs, the dark soldiers standing by his side ready their weapons. 2 of them ignite their lightsabers, while the rest of them are using blasters, staffs and a mace. As Snoke's laugh ends, the battle begins. Luke makes the first move. Using his mere power, he picks up several boulders with the Force and hurls them at the enemy, causing a distraction and opening the window for the Jedi to attack. While Snoke stops the boulders with the Force, Ben and 3 of the students lunge at them. Simultaneously, 5 of the all-black wearing soldiers charge back at the Jedi. Lightsabers clash, as well as staffs and the mace, which are seemingly lightsaber resistant. The soldiers with the blasters begin to fire all they have at the Jedi, who are stood by Luke's side. The bolts are easily deflected by the glowing blades. Snoke crushes the boulders to dust in midair, and both Snoke and Luke begin to walk towards each other. Ben gets the first kill on one of the lightsaber-wielding black soldiers, impaling his green blade through his enemy's heart. Ben wastes no time in aiding his friend against an extremely well-trained staff user. The 3 Jedi stood by the entrance to the academy split up, all running different ways, confusing the 2 gunners. Snoke and Luke meet face to face, each staring down the other. Snoke begins, firing his crimson blade at Luke's neck, but Luke parries, which triggers an engagement of blows from Snoke and Luke, both deflecting, dodging, and both clearly skilled with a lightsaber. Both have met their match. Ben hears a scream from one of the Jedi fighting another lightsaber-wielding soldier. The soldier took his red blade out of the Jedi's torso, and the Jedi fell, dead. Together, Ben and the other Jedi kill the soldier they're fighting with ease. Ben turns to the dark soldier that killed Ben's friend. This soldier was the leader. Ben knew that. Ben walked towards the soldier, and the Jedi followed. "Help him!" Ben demanded, and the student didn't object. He joined the other student fighting 3 of the remaining staff and mace-wielding soldiers at the same time. The 3 Jedi pursuing the gunners came in from all angles, at a speed that could not be detected by human eyes. The blaster-wielding soldiers never stood a chance against Force speed. The 3 Jedi killed the 2 soldiers, 2 of the Jedi both taking down one of the soldiers, driving their blue and green blades through the chest of the unexpected gunner, while the 3rd Jedi took the head clean off the other. The gunners were dead. That leaves the other soldiers. Ben and the leader dueled intensely. Ben's skill was certainly matched, but Ben was the victor. After a punch to the stomach of the soldier, causing the soldier the inability to breathe, Ben slashes his blade downwards, cutting everything he could. The leader was defeated. Ben turned to help the 2 Jedi fighting the remaining soldiers, but saw them both dead on the floor, with the soldiers running towards him. He demonstrated his skill with a lightsaber by parrying all the blows they threw at him, but he couldn't keep it up for long. The 3 Jedi that took down the gunners rushed to Ben's aid, fighting off the soldiers. One of the soldiers took down a Jedi Knight with a swift slash to the neck. It was 3 on 3. Snoke and Luke were giving it their all, both masters of the Force, the opposite of each other, but with the same talents. Snoke takes Luke off his feet by stepping back from the duel and putting the dark side to use. Snoke unleashes Force lightning onto Luke, catching him off guard and sending him to the ground in agony. Ben hears Luke screaming in pain and turns to see him being tortured by Snoke. Ben quickly turns back to his duel with the soldier and takes his head off with a fast slash of his lightsaber. He then leaves his fellow Jedi to finish them off and goes for Snoke. Ben sprints in Snoke's direction and leaps in the air towards him using Force jump. He rolls in the air and brings everything he has in a 2-handed, powerful strike to Snoke's head, but Ben's blade collides with Snoke's. At the same time, Ben lands on his feet and duels the 7-foot monster. Ben gives it everything he has, but it's not enough. Snoke knocks the blade out of Ben's hand, grabs him by the throat, and lifts him off his feet.
You would have been a true Dark Lord, Solo, if you would have listened to me and bowed before me. Then your mother would not be dead, and neither would you. Lord Vader would have been so disappointed in you. Goodbye, Solo.
Snoke smiles, takes his red blade and puts it next to Ben's throat. As Snoke moves his blade to cut the throat of Ben and kill him, Snoke stops, drops his blade. Ben looks at Snoke's face, his dark eyes as wide as they can be. Ben notices Snoke's face is illuminated by something, a green glow. Ben looks down to see a green blade pierce through Snoke's chest. Snoke drops Ben to the floor, Ben scrambles to his feet and sees someone behind Snoke, the dealer of the green blade. It was Luke. Luke drives his blade even further through Snoke's chest, causing Snoke to open his mouth in pain. Snoke shuts his eyes as Luke removes his green blade from Snoke, and Snoke falls to the floor in a pool of his own blood, dead. Ben turns to face the other Jedi who he left to fight the soldiers, to find that all but one Jedi is standing, victorious. Most were dead. All were affected, but the Jedi won. Ben won. Snoke was gone. For the remainder of Ben's life, he was happy. Although he missed his mother and partly blames himself, he is proud of who he is and what he overcame. He is a Jedi Master and was eternally grateful to his uncle Luke for training him and helping him become the person he is today. After his mother's death, he spent a lot more of his time with his father and was truly content in that. Both Han and Luke apologized to Ben for the fact that he barely got to see his parents, but Ben understood the importance of his training and forgave them. Whatever the galaxy wanted to throw at the Jedi and whatever was coming, Ben was ready, and vowed to one day finish what Luke started. He would one day own the Academy, and one day train a new generation of Jedi. He knows his purpose, he knows his power, he stands tall, proud, and happy. Alright guys, that is what I have wrote, what would happen if Ben did not turn to the dark side. I really hope you enjoyed it, guys. I had a really fun time writing this. Like, yes, I did write this, like the whole thing was written by me, and it was a really creative process, and I really like that. I'm a creative person, and it was good to kind of put that to use. It was really hard to do and took a long time, so I'd really appreciate a like on this video or a share if you want to go one step further. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, this is kind of inspired by the Stupendous Wave, because he's done this What If series for a while, and I wanted to try it myself with this topic. So if you want to see me do more of this, then please let me know. I'd love to do this again. Let me know what you think of this alternate reality in the comment section down below. Would this be entertaining to see? I personally think it would. Subscribe to me for more regular Star Wars videos, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, guys.